the Whispering Djinn. In the heart of the arid, unforgiving desert, there lay a village that time had all but forgotten. The relentless sun bleached the mud brick houses to a pale, ghostly white, and the wind carried the ever-present scent of dust and sand. The villagers lived simple lives, aching out an existence in this desolate place. But there was one thing that set this village apart from the others that dotted the desert landscape: a well known as the Well of Echoes. The Well of Echoes was unlike any other. It was ancient, older than the village itself, and was said to have been dug long before anyone could remember. The well was deep, so deep that even in the scorching heat of summer, its waters remained cool and fresh. But it wasn't just the water that made the well unique. It was the whispers. Anyone who leaned over the well's edge and spoke into its depths would hear their words echoed back to them, not as a simple repetition, but as a distorted, haunting whisper. The villagers believed that the well was enchanted, that it held within it a djinn, a powerful and ancient being made of smokeless fire. But this djinn was not bound by curses or wishes. Instead, it was bound by something much older, something that the villagers had long since forgotten. For years, the villagers had lived with the well and its whispers, treating it with a mix of reverence and fear. They would approach the well with caution, always speaking in low, respectful tones, careful not to provoke whatever ancient force resided within. But despite their caution, the whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if the djinn within was becoming restless. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky turned a deep, blood red, a young man named Samir approached the well. He was different from the others, more curious and less fearful. He had grown up hearing the tales of the djinn and the whispers, but he had never been afraid. To him, the well was just a well, and the whispers were nothing more than echoes, tricks of the wind and the deep. That evening, as the village settled into the quiet of night, Samir stood at the edge of the well and peered down into its dark depths. The air was still, unnaturally so, and the only sound was the soft rustling of his own clothes in the breeze. Samir hesitated for a moment, then with a defiant grin, he called out into the well, his voice echoing off the stone walls. "Is anyone there?" he asked, his voice strong and confident. For a moment there was only silence, and then, deep from within the well, came the reply, a faint, distorted whisper, repeating his words back to him. "Is anyone there?" the whisper echoed, but there was something off about it, something that sent a shiver down Samir's spine. The whisper was not just an echo, it was a voice, ancient and filled with a cold, unsettling malice. Samir laughed nervously, shaking off the feeling of unease. "I knew it," he said, more to himself than to anyone else. "It's just an old well, nothing more." But as he turned to leave, the whisper came again, louder this time, more insistent. "Don't go," it said, the words clear and chilling. Samir froze, his heart pounding in his chest. He slowly turned back to the well, his mind racing. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. The well was silent for a long moment, and then the voice came again, softer, almost pleading. "I am trapped," it said. "Help me." Samir's curiosity flared. The tales of the djinn had always fascinated him, and now, it seemed, he had a chance to learn the truth. "How can I help you?" he asked, leaning closer to the well. The voice hesitated, as if considering, and then it spoke again. "Come closer, I will show you." Against his better judgment, Samir leaned further over the edge of the well, peering into the darkness. The air seemed to grow colder, and the hairs on the back of his neck stood on end. But he couldn't pull away, couldn't resist the pull of the whispering voice. And then, without warning, something cold and invisible wrapped around his wrist, pulling him forward. Samir gasped, struggling to pull back, but the grip was strong, impossibly strong. Panic surged through him as he realized that whatever had hold of him was pulling him into the well. He screamed, but the sound was lost in the dark, swallowed by the well's depths. As he was dragged over the edge, the last thing he heard was the whisper, no longer soft or pleading, but filled with cold, merciless laughter. The next morning, the villagers found the well empty, the water gone, and Samir missing. The well was sealed with heavy stones, and the villagers spoke of it no more, the memory of the whispers fading with time. But deep beneath the sand, in the cold, dark depths of the earth, the Djinn waited, patient and hungry, for the next curious soul to come seeking its secrets. Years passed, and the legend of the well faded into obscurity, becoming nothing more than a ghost story told to frighten children. The villagers went about their lives, careful never to speak of what had happened to Samir. But at night, when the desert winds howled and the stars shimmered like distant flames, some claimed they could still hear the whispers of faint, distant sound carried on the wind, as if the Djinn was calling out for another victim. One night, decades after Samir's disappearance, a traveler passing through the village heard the stories and became intrigued. He was a scholar, obsessed with the occult and ancient mysteries, and the tale of the Well of Echoes stirred something deep within him. He ignored the warnings of the villagers and decided to investigate, believing he could uncover the secrets buried in the sand. Under the cover of darkness, the traveler approached the sealed well, armed with nothing but a lantern and his insatiable curiosity. He began to pry away the heavy stones, his heart pounding with anticipation. As the last stone fell away, he peered into the darkness, feeling the cold, stale air rise from the depths. He called out, his voice trembling, "Djinn, if you are there, reveal yourself." For a long moment, there was only silence. But then, from deep within the well, the whisper came soft, seductive, and filled with ancient malice. "I am here," it said, and the traveler felt a chill run through his body. Ignoring the growing sense of dread, the traveler leaned further into the well, determined to discover the source of the voice. But as he did, the air around him seemed to thicken, growing colder and heavier. The whispers grew louder, overlapping and echoing until they filled his ears, drowning out all other sound. Suddenly, the traveler felt a cold grip on his wrist, just as Samir had. But unlike Samir, the traveler knew what he was dealing with. He tried to pull away, but the grip tightened, pulling him closer to the edge. Panic surged through him as he realized he was not dealing with an ordinary spirit, but something far older and more malevolent. He tried to shout for help, but his voice was swallowed by the whispers, now a deafening cacophony of voices, each one filled with malice and hunger. The traveler was dragged over the edge, his lantern falling into the darkness, its light extinguished in an instant. The villagers heard the traveler's screams echo through the night, but they knew better than to investigate. They remained in their homes, silent and fearful, knowing that the Djinn had claimed another victim. The well was sealed once again, but the whispers never truly stopped. They lingered in the night air, a reminder of the ancient, malevolent force that lay trapped beneath the earth, waiting for the next foolhardy soul to come seeking its secrets. And so the Well of Echoes remained, its dark history buried beneath the shifting sands, but never truly forgotten. The Djinn waited, patient and hungry, for the day when it could be free once more.